On this episode of Shop Talk, we're going to talk about completing your restoration. Shalom friends, Robert Gottslick here with the Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry, and once again have my good friend here, John Plants from Manitoba. And we are here on a beautiful summer day the Lord's blessed us with, and I don't know, I feel like I died and went to heaven. Actually, heaven's going to be better than this, but I come here into the yard here and I'm looking at cars for as far as my eye can see into the bush and all around me here, and I'm looking at all these restored cars here. And well, we just got to bring out Brent and Eric to tell us all about it.
Good to be here. Thanks, and Eric.
Hi. Well, I've been collecting for about 45 years, and I started as a young kid, just seeing cars. I always liked full-size Chevrolet cars. That was my main focus, and I can remember from an early age, you know, these people having a '62 Chevy and them a '64, so forth. And as I got older, I wanted to have some, as you can see. And
yeah, wonderful.
And so yeah, I just I don't know. I started with one. My first one was this white Impala. Is the first car I started back in 1977, and we got that one done. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I thought I should have a convertible, so '64 was kind of my other favorite, and that's what I went to. And then later on, we progressed into the '90s. I thought I should have a fun car, and that was where the green '62 four-door comes in. And of course, at the same time, our club, we did the limo. For a regional meet we had here in Winnipeg, and that was a club project, and at the same time I did that car, so I had a lot on my plate at that time. And then if we fast forward a little while later, my oldest son in the '90s grew up going to all the car shows with myself and our family, and always was fascinated with blue '67 Impalas.
Wonderful, love it.
And when he got old enough and had some money, there it was.
So Eric, I mean, we're looking in the bush here. I mean, are these all Impalas?
Not all Impalas, but Impala Bel Air Biscayne, which is mostly the same thing, and a few wagons sprinkled in, and then of course a lot of Pontiacs. Canadian Pontiacs are great parts cars for Chevys, but yes. As time has evolved, those that have the Pontiacs have with the Canada-US Pontiac difference.
Right.
There's some very hard to find parts for the Canadian ones, so that's kind of a good thing to have those around as well.
Right.
And I've also sprinkled in a few Oldsmobiles and Buicks, and there's a couple of Cadillacs here. But yeah, I just like all the old GM big rear-wheel drive cars. That's been my favorite, basically. Yeah.
I'm with you on that, Eric. I'm with you. So Brent, can you pop the hood? Is this so this is a 427 car. It was originally...
It was a 283.
A 283?
And Power Glide, but now...
Okay, I can't wait to see what's under here.
Oh yeah. It's now...
Nice.
454 powered. Turbo 400, posi traction, just kind of big motor, fast kind of stuff.
Yeah, so amazing. I mean, even as big as that motor is, you can still work on it. I mean, try and work on some of the newer stuff today. It's like, oh, yeah, take it in. Yeah. Let's take a look at the interior now. Wow, Brent, is this ever nice in here? You know, when I first came up and saw the cars here and I was looking inside and I'm looking at this nice blue interior, I was just thinking to myself, it just looks cool temperature wise. It's like 32 degrees here. We're just dying here today. But yet, you know, this car is not an AC car, and this blue color, I mean, I just love it. It just feels relaxing and cool. I mean, is this the original interior?
No, it's not. We got the seats redone, the carpet's new, the headliner also is new. But
it's restored to like original.
That's, we got the inserts here are actual 1966 day code for the '67. Oh, it's never nice. The original ones. We got pay a little extra for them, but definitely looks better.
Yeah, and so like the seats, you had to reconstruct foams, any spring work and stuff like that.
Yeah, they all needed a bit of work.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, they make the mistake. They put the new seat skins over. They don't change the foam. They don't change the springs if they're weak, and then you know you sit on the seat and in no time there's
this car when you're on the road it feels brand new. Which is nice.
Headliner's been replaced.
Yeah.
Visors.
Those are original still.
Those are all original visors. You know, and even all the trim around here is amazing. The dash, is that the original dash?
No, this is just a dash pad from one of Dad's cars we took off, so that we got sprayed. Yeah. My favorite part of this of this whole car is the keys. These keys, actually, my grandpa had a '67 Bel Air, so when we were doing this car, I figured that car was too rusty to ever fix, so I took the keys out of my grandpa's car, so I used all the locks and everything. So these are the same keys my grandpa used in '67.
I love those
that's kind of one of my
touches that you put on, yeah, to personalize it. Well, that's great. Yeah, and so well, let's get out and let's take a look down the side of this thing, and yeah, this is awesome. Sure. Oh, Brent, is that ever nice? You know, beautiful interior. I love the motor. You know, you said you had the whole body right off the frame on this thing, and you know, looking down the side of this thing is looking laser straight. Did you have the body work? Did you do it yourself?
No, no. I got a guy out of Winnipeg. He's closed the shop down, but yeah, he did quarters. He did some floor. He did the whole trunk floor was all rotten. And then on these cars, especially this channel under here along the window, they rust right.
I know my Chevelle. I spent many hours MIG welding that. Yeah. It was terrible. Yeah, and so like basically took everything down to bare metal.
Yeah,
and
everything was stripped. Every nut and bolt has been apart on this thing. There's not one that hasn't been touched.
Yeah,
so
this is really nice. Well, I think we got to take a look at some of these other vehicles here, and yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's an amazing job that your son did on the '67 Impala. And John asked him how long it took him. He said a couple years. And when we first got here, he told us it took you a little longer to do this one. How long did it take you, Eric?
This is about 22 years.
Okay, and so why was that?
Why was that? Well, I always had the car behind me.
Right, yeah.
So there was not the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
But I started this at a very young age, and I started working in my dad's machine shed among farm machinery and that, and of course no heat in the winter. So I ended up getting this yard, building the shop here and so forth. So that kind of set me back financially. And then as I got closer to maybe being able to do something, I got married. And then as time evolved, then came children. Yeah. And actually just about time when Brent was born is the time I got this car finally painted, about in 1991. And then I thought, hey, I'd have a lot of times when we're going to stay home with a baby. I'll have lots of time. And that worked for a couple of weeks, it seemed, but that was about it. And then we had more kids, and everything just life got busy.
There you go.
Life was in the way, you might say, but that was all good. Yeah. And so about 1997, I started getting a little bit serious because I thought I better get this thing fixed while I'm still cool to my kids so I can drive with them. So by 2002, we had everything ready to drive it on the road, and my kids actually even helped. I have some old photographs of kids helping on me and so forth. So we turned a bit into a little bit of a family project. And 2002 was the first year we had it where we could drive it, and we've had some fun with this car over the years.
Wow. So is that original color?
For this kind of car, it is. Yeah, this was actually a junkyard car, believe it or not. It came out of East Grand Forks, Minnesota, out of a junkyard. Yeah. When we got her home, there was no interior, no top, no engine, no hood. Like, it didn't look like much, but the shell was great. And I had another car that was complete but very, very rusty. So we ended up transferring everything, and the other car I had was this color, and I always liked this color. Yeah. So basically I made one car from two, and I sort of call it a Can-Am Chevy because it's Canadian and American cars had some subtle differences. So this one is a bit of a combination of two. Yeah. So it throws the pure guys, it throws them off a little bit, some of the things that are on here.
Like the Beaumont and the Chevelle.
A little bit like that, exactly, yeah. So that's what we did. So it has under the hood has a 300 horse 327. It's a 4-speed car because that's...
I think you need to pop that hood.
I guess I do. So
let's take a look.
Anyways.
Yeah, wonderful. That's my Chevelle, my 68 Chevelle. That's what it kind of looked like.
Yeah, so there's lots of room to work here, obviously. And so this being a 300 horse has a different carburetor on it, a Carter carburetor. It has bigger ram horn manifolds. And the exhaust. It's sort of like what some of the Corvettes used. It's just a
little better flow, a little better performance,
and it has lots of power on the highway.
But you can work on it, and
you can work on it. Yeah.
Stranded on the side of the road, there's certain things that you could do to it today. You know, if you're in cell phone coverage, you're fortunate. Phone a tow truck.
Yeah, and also I did work at a GM dealer for 30 years in parts, so a lot of the stuff you see on here back in the day, I actually ordered this stuff. In my spare time at work, I just open up the old parts catalog, like the grill, the headlight doors. Actually, 5 of the 6 bumper pieces were actually in the original GM wrappers. Only this piece here is actually re-chromed. So,
and just like saying to Brent, you know, getting the original GM parts, you know, the trim parts, the bumpers. I know there's even guys selling, you know, the original quarter panels and fenders. They want a lot of money for them.
Yes, they do.
But they are a much better fit. I mean, there is some better stuff out there than you know, some of the other repo stuff.
Back in the day with a staff discount and that, I think I paid $50 for this grill, but you'd be lucky to find one for $1,000 US
Yeah.
probably right now.
And nothing's better than the original.
Than
It
the
just
original.
was so
Yeah.
much better.
And down to the wheel covers, the whole bit. We got a lot of stuff original from it. So that I was over those years of the 22 years. Every year I would gather up stuff for this, either in reproduction or original stuff and that. And I also had, believe it or not, up to 22 64 Chevys in my yard here at one point. And so many parts on this car come from a whole vast array, and even from some that aren't in my yard. So we pieced this all together because, like I said, it was a junkyard car, and so we brought it kind of, I always said, from rags to riches, kind of, because it was run hard and put away wet.
Let's take a look at the interior here.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to actually get into the car to look at the interior. You gotta love those convertibles, but you know, as far as the interior, you've redone it, same colors.
Yeah, well, actually, we did all new seat covers and so forth from the seats of the other convertibles that I said I had, and actually all the side panels were just actually re-dyed and repaired and with new carpeting on the bottom of the doors. Actually, there was a place in Winnipeg that did that kind of.
So these are original door panels?
These are the original panels actually up here, still from that other car. But we have things like a tachometer, which was a factory accessory, and also
kind of made it look a little like was that an option then, or
that's an option.
Oh, it was an option. Okay.
Oh yeah, so we got that, and also it has a factory AM/FM radio, which not too many cars had back in '64.
Right.
But this car actually originally, when I got it out of the junkyard, there was the speaker is a Telltale speaker, and it had obviously was an AM/FM car from new, and also it has power windows now too, which the other car they got transferred from the other car into here, and all tinted side windows too. So we put together a lot of options on this car, and we brought the reproduction twin mirrors, and there's all kind of stuff that I guess if I would have been young enough or old enough in 1964, those are the check boxes I would have. If I could have afforded to order a new car at that time, that's what I would have done.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful.
It's
wonderful. And so, yeah, body work, you had it all redone. I mean, it's looking just like your son's. I mean, it's looking pretty straight, and you know, it looks really good.
Yeah, and it was also a frame off. And back in 1980, we had the frame off, so that's about when I started this car, which is a long time ago. But we sandblasted the frame and all that kind of stuff, and painted the underside, and it's maybe not to the high standards of today, because nowadays there's so many better methods to doing these kind of things. And
well, that's a really nice, thanks for sharing that with us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
What an amazing day we've been blessed with, but time's running short, and so in order to see the rest of Eric's cars here, the 262 Impala's behind me, and then there's a big long
wagon
with how many doors?
Yeah, 8.
Like 8 doors. You're going to want to join us the next time on Shop Talk to see that. But you know, it's an amazing thing, and I just thank you guys so much for having us here today to look at Brent, your 67, and Eric, your 64, and you guys did an amazing job restoring them. You know, the restoration, you guys, in your eyes, it's complete, and it looks complete. They look good. But you know, when I think of restoration complete, it reminds me of something. It actually reminds me of a Bible moment. John?
Well, then why don't we go to a Bible moment?
Let's go to a Bible moment.
And we're going to turn to our Bible in Colossians chapter 2, and I'm going to read verses 6, 7, and verse 10. And it says, "As you therefore have received Jesus Christ the Lord, so walk ye in him, rooted and built up in him, established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving." And then verse 10 says, "And you are complete in him, which is the head of all the principalities and power." You know, and as I pondered these verses, I've been thinking about these cars, and you know, the 64 and 67, is that, you know, you guys put a lot of time into it. Yet, as Eric, as you were saying to us, is that you found it in a junk pile, and you brought it home, and that for some reason you saw that there was value and worth in this vehicle. And that's how God looks at each and every one of us. He looks at our soul, that it's worth rebuilding, worth restoring, so that one day it would be complete. And you know, that we're still in God is working in our lives. He wants to not just maintain, but he wants to completely restore us. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity that you've given us to come into your home and to look at these cars. And I think that, you know, in a Bible moment, you know, that our lives can also be different if we allow God to work in us.
Well, thank you, John, for sharing that with us. Eric, Brent, would you like to add something to that?
Well, that's well said.
It's well said. You know, and it's an amazing thing, friends. You know, as a believer, if you have a car out there, or motorcycle, or a truck, or, you know, anything that the Lord's blessed you with, if you can use that to be able to share the good news about Jesus with people, you know, that's what this is all about. That's what Shop Talk's about. That's what Cruizin for Zion is all about. And you know, if you know anything about the Cruizin for Zion tour, it was canceled for this year. But that's exactly what we're going to do. Take a 68 Chevelle into the neighborhoods, onto the streets and the highways and byways, and really reach people with a biblical message of restoration. You know, and combating anti-Semitism wherever we go, because we are and we work for the Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry. But to be able to use those cars as a Bible object lesson to share with people about Jesus, I can think of no better thing to do. And so thank you again for sharing with us today. And you're going to want to tune in next time to Shop Talk to watch as we continue this episode with these cars behind us here. And until then, friends, this has been Shop Talk with the Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry.